Hey Heights Church, Pastor Justin here. It is great to be with you today. I get to continue in the thread, He is, and I'm going to talk to you about He is our advocate. The passage I'm going to be sharing with you comes from 1 John, and I got to tell you, the first time I read this, I kind of read it wrong because I read it through the lens of, if I don't do this, if I'm not perfect at this, it's speaking about me. So let me read to you the passage, and I'm actually going to back up a verse or two because John's talking about sin in our lives. And what we know about sin in our lives is simply this, is that Jesus elevated it from deeds to thoughts, meaning our heart attitude and our heart life. Let me give you an example of that. Is in Matthew, Jesus is teaching on this, and he says, look, even if you look at a woman with lust in your heart, you've committed adultery with her. Or if you hate your brother, you've killed him, you've murdered him in your heart. And so he elevates the level of this in our lives. And so let me read to you the Apostle John's words on this. And I want you to hear it from a heart of love as a father would to his son. And he says this in verse 9 of chapter 1, if we confess our sins, he is faithful and just to forgive us our sins and cleanse us from all unrighteousness. If we say we have not sinned, we make him out to be a liar, and his word is not in us. So he's saying that, look, if I claim that I don't sin at all and I don't have this challenge or these struggles in my mind, well, God's a liar. I don't want to do that. But here's where it becomes really interesting. Chapter 2, my little children, I'm writing you these things so that you may not sin. But if anyone does, we have an advocate with the Father, Jesus Christ, the righteous. See, even he's saying, look, but even if you do, because he recognizes that the reality of the struggle in the flesh, in this body that we have, is going to be a battle against the sin that creeps in, the fear that creeps in, just the selfishness that creeps in, the ego that creeps in. All of these things are part of our lives. But this is the transformation process. Let me keep reading. Verse 2, it says, he is the propitiation for our sins. Okay, that is a huge $5 word right there. But it means payment, or he is the one who made the payment for us. And not for ours only, but the sins of the whole world. And by this, and this is where I struggled when I first read it, and by this we have come to know him if we keep his commands. Whoever says, I know him, but doesn't keep his commands is a liar, and the truth is not in him. Okay, I'll be honest. When I struggled with sin, and when I struggle with sin, I see this as a truth in my life that I'm not keeping his commands. And then I immediately thought, well, his word isn't in me. I'm messing it up. But he's talking about a regular, habitual, I'm not connected to God at all. I'm living this life. I never surrendered my life to him. First place, I'm just living this life. Because earlier he said, look, if we confess, he will cleanse us. He is our advocate in that. And that's what I love about this passage, is because this passage teaches us about the becoming like Jesus. It's this big spiritual word called sanctification. And really what that means is becoming more and more like Jesus in our character. And I'll tell you, in this world around us, including my own life, the thing that I need more of is the character of God. Because what I know is, and I'm challenged by this verse in this passage, that my thought life, and the closer I dig my roots and the closer I get to Jesus, the more revealed I am of my sin, my selfishness, my ego, my anger. All of these things bubble up to the surface because the closer I am to holiness, the more I recognize that I'm not. But that's what's so amazing about Jesus being our advocate. See, this is the heart of the gospel, is that we are sinners. And you're like, why are you excited about that? I know, because he paid it. He gave it to us. He is our advocate. He goes to the Father who is holy and perfect and just and righteous. And he says, no. That one's mine. He belongs to you. I paid the price for him, and he is for us and for you, and he is in favor of us and life transforming us. He wants the best in our lives. Here's my thought and my challenge for you today is I just want you to meditate on that. We are sinners. Some of you, if you're even wrestling with, I'm not that bad, stop comparing yourself to somebody else, because that's what we do. Or even when we think people are, oh, he's a good person, that's really not the heart of the gospel either. The heart of the gospel is that you and I and everyone around us are actually sinners. And Jesus paid it perfectly and gives it freely to you and me. That is what makes him so amazing. And he's your advocate to the Father on your behalf. It means it's this legal term that he wants to be your representative and be the best for you. Thanks for joining me today, church. I love you. God bless you. We'll see you next time.